Should you sell Spire Global after its 140% rise in the past 3.5 months? I'm going to try to answer that, and I'm also going to explain why I'm not selling Spire Global. Ticker symbol SPIR. So, if you look at the stock has risen from August 15, the low of August 15, all the way until the last trading day, the last trading hour, I guess, 142%. Went from a low of 675-ish to 1634. So why am I not selling? Why, after this big of a gain, am I not selling? So it has to do with a few things. Namely, because I can't see the actual books, right? There are no financials to the company that are out, that are set in stone, that are like corroborated by the company, right? Because they're still in the midst of redoing their accounting. We only have a few numbers to work on. And the only numbers I'm going to be using in this video are going to be the sale price of their Spire Maritime business segment. So because of this, please take all my numbers, please take all my reasoning and my logic with multiple handfuls of salt, okay? I'm not I'm not a financially like expert, whatever. Like, I don't read balance sheets for fun like Warren Buffett or anything. This is just my opinion based off of this recent business deal. So if we look at the stock, we see that as of today, November, we'll say 29, because yes, that was the last trading day. So as of November 29th, 2024, market cap of 417 million, right? And we also know that there are about 24 million shares outstanding. We'll say 24.5 million shares outstanding. And then it's at a share price of $16.34 a share. So if we look at this previous selling of Spire Maritime, they sold it for $241 million. This eliminated all of their debt, which was around $100 million of debt. And it gave them, we'll round down to 100 millions of money that they have left, accounting for all the taxes and all the accounting fees and the brokerage fees and all those things, right? We'll say that Spire Global got a remainder of 100 million, assuming that the other $41 million went to all those random fees for the broker, for taxes, for whatever else, right? We'll just say that they only have 100 million left, right? So on the books, I'm assuming that Spire Global has $100 million of just hard cash sitting in a bank somewhere. That's the first assumption, right? So let's just put that here. We'll just say 100, right? Next, I want to look at their LinkedIn page to see what other business sectors they have, what other business segments Spire is affiliated in, right? So I just go to this affiliated pages, and we look at all 5. So Spire Maritime, they just sold, right? And this, we know for certain, sold for a price of $241 million. That's assuming that Spire actually got a good deal, which actually, in my opinion, I feel that because Spire Global was in a position of weakness, because they were probably, in my opinion, what I believe is that they were probably pressured by their debtor, or by their debtor to pay off that 100 million. Spire Global is probably in a rush to sell Spire Maritime. So I do believe that it is worth more than $241 million. But for now, we'll just say that Spire Maritime fair market value was $240 million, right? Now they have these 4 other segments. Spire Maritime, in my opinion, is most closely related to Spire Aviation, right? And in the fact that both of them are tracking. This one tracks airlines and airplanes. This one tracks shipping, right? Basically, yeah, right? Shipping, radar, and all that stuff, right? So I'm just going to give Spire Aviation not a $240 million valuation. I'm just going to cut it in half, okay? I'm just going to assume that shipping is much more important for like on-time shipping, for businesses to make sure that they get their products on time, for businesses to make sure that they can secure a safety like overhead, right? So I'm assuming that aviation is not as important. So I'm just going to cut the valuation in half and give Spire Aviation $100 million market value. So there's another 100 million, right? Again, I cannot reiterate these are numbers I am making off the top of my head just based off of that business deal of selling Spire Maritime, right? These numbers are not set in stone anywhere. I legit just basically pulled these out of my butt, but I'm trying to lowball this valuation as much as possible just so that I am not, because as I said before, lower expectations lead to happier people, right? If you don't expect much, then you'll be happy regardless of what you get. That is the way I live, right? So I'm just gonna try to lowball as much as possible. Anyways, now they have two other ones that I want to talk about. So Spire Government and Spire Weather and Climate. So both of these are also both also similar to Spire Maritime and also Spire Aviation, in that they are both more data. Is it not data brokering, but like data supply, right? They're both supplying data to the companies and to the governments that want them, right? So maritime, aviation, that's supplying data with regards to transportation, with regards to shipping, aviation, all those things, right? Whereas government and weather and climate, those are supplying data. I mean, the name's kind of obvious, right? The name's kind of self-explanatory. This one is for like weather, checking wildfire, checking tornadoes, checking soil temperatures, checking all those things, wind speed, everything, right? And then this one is checking, in my opinion, that's the more AI defense space. You sell to governments rather than selling to companies. So both of them sell to companies and both of them sell to governments. Obviously, if you see the Spire Weather and Climate, they just did a deal with, I want to say NASA. It could have been NOAA, but I'm pretty sure it was NASA, and they also did a deal with the Canadian government to check for wildfires. They also just did a signed a contract for checking something about like soil moisture or something like that. I'm not an expert, and also I'm too lazy to actually look up the articles, but that's what they just did. So both of these are kind of similar in a way to Spire Maritime and Spire Aviation. So again, we'll give these to another. Again, I'm just going to cut Maritime by 3/5 and say these are also $100 million each, right? So in total, I'm saying that these three are worth $100 million, okay? Or $300 million in total. So I'm just going to give that another $200 million, right? Lastly, we have Spire Space Services. This, I think, is probably one of their bigger earners, because this is space as a service. This, in my opinion, is once you get what space as a service is it's a subscription-based service, right? And we all know SaaS companies, in this case, SaaS as in space as a service rather than software as a service or whatever. Space as a service, they have a high upfront cost, but a very long, like after your upfront cost, you have recurring revenue throughout, like basically forever, right? That's what I'm assuming, because all you're doing is you're just managing it. You're managing the satellites that other companies put up and all those things. So in my opinion, I'm gonna lowball this as well and say that this alone, this Spire Space Services, is a $200 million market value. Okay, again, I'm numbers out of my butt, right? I cannot stress that enough. But numbers out of my butt. I'm just assuming this is 200 just based off the fact that this sold for $241 million, right? I'm just to lowball as much as possible. I think that these three, I'm just saying these three are worth $100 million a pop. And then this one is worth $200 million, right? So I'm just going to add another 200 million. 600 million, right? So this 100 is from just cash on hand. These three are from the three data supplying business segments, which are government, aviation, and weather and climate. And then this last 200 is going to be from the space as a service business segment. So with that, we see that this is a $600 or $600 million valuation from my, again, I don't even know if I'm lowballing, okay? Like these numbers, I think I'm lowballing. Like someone please leave in the comments if you think that I am actually giving more credit than is due, right? But I believe that I'm lowballing, and I believe that even a lowball estimate is $600 million market cap. If we go back to Spire Global's current market cap, it is at 420-ish, right? So in other words, we still have another $180 million of market cap to regain, which would bring us to, what is that, around 20 something. We'll just multiply $600 million market cap divided by 24.35 million shares. That is a $24.60 stock. That is assuming no growth. And Spire Global's management just said, screw it, I'm out, bye, I'm just gonna sell the company today as is, no growth, nothing else, just take it all, right? Not accounting for anything else. So that would give us a $24 stock price. Now this is what I call the Benjamin Graham style of investing, where you only invest in companies that are undervalued and you sell the moment they become fairly valued. This is a more Benjamin Graham style of investing. If you don't know about Benjamin Graham was basically just the sensei, the teacher, the whatever, the shifu of Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett decided later on changed the way he invests, but then a lot of his ideas, a lot of the way he approaches investing comes from Benjamin Graham. You can read his book, The Intelligent Investor, or you can read a lot of the papers and a lot of the. Basically, Warren Buffett also cites him a lot, right? Now, the reason why I'm not selling, even at $24, until we actually get the books, and then maybe I can see a more concrete, look at the book and at the balance sheet. But if it is what I believe it is, and if the company keeps executing as planned, and if nothing in the environment or the economy changes too much, then I'm going to keep holding Spire Global. Why? Even past $24? Why is that? So I want to approach stocks in a way that Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett do, in where they say you want to invest in great companies at fair prices. And I believe that even if $24.64 is a fair price, I feel that Spire Global is growing really, really rapidly. If you look at their revenue growth here, we see that. I hope I didn't. Okay, yeah. Where is it? Spire Global has shown impressive revenue growth, 24.15% increase in the past year, as of Q1 2024, right? So if we look at that's pretty good growth, right? So if I'm not even accounting for creating a PEG ratio. This is just strictly just if the company were to liquidate today, how much would it liquidate for? And I think around 600 million. Not really liquidate, but if they were to just sell the businesses, right? Liquidation is a whole different process, but the reason why I'm not selling even after a 140% profit, or I guess it's not profit yet, right? It's still unrealized. Remember, unrealized profits are not profits, okay? That is a big lesson you have to learn in investing. If you are new to investing, unrealized profits are not profits. They're just numbers on the screen, okay? That has to be drilled into your mind that it's not a profit, so don't feel happy until you sell, okay? But another book that I read, and another really, really smart investor that I follow, that I learned from, is Philip Fisher, who wrote Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits. And he basically gives the example of a company. I forgot what company it was, but this company started off at a share price of, I think it was $1.25. Afterwards, that $1.25, after a few months, it became $7 and 50 cents or something like that, right? And so that $1.25 became $7.50. People sold, but this company was still good, right? It was still executing on all cylinders. It was still perfectly fine. It was still a great company to invest in. A few months later, or maybe a few years, it became $23, right? So, or maybe $21, I forgot. But it was basically, okay, we'll just say 3x, right? After the initial 5x, it 3x's again, which I don't know if it was 5x or 7x, but initial increase of 5 to 7x, and then there's an additional increase of 3x. After this additional 3x, people sold, but it's still a good company. It's still a great company. Then eventually it becomes a $120 stock. That means that the first people that sold, they bought at 1, they sold at 7. That was, let's say, around a 5-bagger. Then the people that bought at 7 and sold at 22, 23-ish, that was a 3-bagger. Congrats, you won, right? And then the people that bought at 23 and then sold at 120-ish, that was another 5-bagger-ish. Why do I bring this example up? Just because a stock runs, if the company keeps executing, there's no real reason to sell. If you do believe in the fundamentals, if you believe in the management, if you believe that they're executing, and once we do see the balance sheet, right? We don't see the balance sheet, so I can't really say anything about that. But we do see that it's still executing on all cylinders. We do see that their TAM is increasing, their total addressable market is increasing and widening. Then there's no reason for me to sell, right? That's just my opinion. Again, a lot of this could also be, maybe I'm just anchoring, right? I could just be anchoring. So if you look at the stock, Spir, well, okay, I cannot spell. Spir Global. Spir, no, just do stock. That's easier. If you look at the stock, right, maybe I could be anchoring to the IPO price. That's also possible, right? It IPO'd at $10 and then it did an 8-for-1 split. So again, these are just my opinions. I don't know what I'm doing, but this is just a high conviction play, and I do believe that even at $16.34 a share, it is still undervalued for just liquidation costs. Not liquidation, but selling businesses, right? It's slightly different. But just like bare bones, it is still undervalued in my opinion. But you might also be wondering, well, I mean, if it's so undervalued, why aren't other like investors investing in it? And I do want to bring up the point that there are a lot of requirements for bigger investors, for bigger investing companies, right? For hedge funds, because they're dealing with other people's money, then they're not allowed to legally to invest in all these small startups, right? They have a market cap requirement. They have all these requirements. And that is actually one of the advantages that retail investors have over these hedge funds, over these other companies, in that you have the ability to invest in companies that you think are diamonds in the rough, when bigger companies and bigger hedge funds are just not able to invest in. Again, is this investment advice? No, but this is just, I just told you a million times, right? I pulled these numbers out of my butt. But all these numbers are just slight reflection off of that $241 million deal, and hopefully complete lowballs from what I can tell. So that's just my opinion as to why I'm not selling Spir Global, ticker symbol SPIR. Yeah, that's it. I mean, if you think any of my evaluations are wrong or any of them are actually too high, then please let me know, because I don't want to lose money. So please, like, let me know. Maybe I'm just like dreaming. Maybe I'm just smoking the hopium, right? I don't know. But that's just my opinion. Have a good day.